San Diego Comic-Con. How does it feel to be coming here after a huge successful season for this new exciting show? What do you think about how the response has been so far for Man in the High Castle?
Captain?
One thing is clear about the show, it's not for everybody. We didn't realize, I think, for most of us, and especially the actors, that it not being for everybody, there's so many everybody's that have been left out for a long time. And that's the most exciting thing to me, is that we are a show that is of a quality for those left out and for those looking for something different than the run-of-the-mill commercial. Makes you think, which is highly contradictory for most visual arts we have today. So I look at it as the beginning of a movement, and thanks to our producers who were bold enough to bring it to Amazon, we have a chance to do it. Very happy. We're all very happy with the response.
I just think it's exciting. I mean, the material itself is, inspiring fans for so many years, and it's such a transcendent piece of material. So to be able to take an alternative history and find for audiences what their access points, how they relate to this world, how it informs their own sort of modern day life and experience, that's been really exciting to see, because you can't predict that. And the world today in particular is changing so fast, and in some ways is so disturbingly relevant to a lot of the stories we're telling. So it's pretty thrilling as it is unpredictable.
The book is beloved by a group of people, but it's not as prominently known as a lot of literature out there. Was that an obstacle, or was that actually a benefit as you put the show together, not knowing that you didn't have to adhere to such a very strict expectation for an audience? I think
for Frank Spotnitz, who did the adaptation, I think adaptations are always tricky, especially when you have a piece of material that is as highly regarded as this was. It's a very intimidating piece. So the challenge was to try and find what sort of the narrative drive was going to be for each of these characters, especially since we're taking on distinctive worlds. The series is infused with that book, but we're not obviously following chapter by chapter a story that pre-existed us.
I think this is where the millennials meet the baby boomers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because we, the boomer generation, lived through the 60s and the peace movement, and the millennials are finding out how much power they have to affect the whole political process. And as we did in the 60s, we stopped the war. So it's a meeting of power, a view of power, and creation, and this is the beauty of the creativity that David's referring to, of how we can shape that, not only with what the material is, but even deeper into character.
It was weird when they first had the pilots, where they were put out there, and obviously your show sticks out like a sore thumb amongst the rest of them. What was that experience like that kind of very public focus group that you went through? What was that? I mean, there's no comparison in entertainment, really.
Well, it's an interesting question, because as you may know, it took us an extraordinarily long time to find a home for this. When we started this whole journey, Amazon was not even a buyer option. But to your question, Amazon, in the way that they release projects, is quite distinctly different than the traditional sort of broadcast model. And it was, Frank talked about this a lot last year, it was a very odd experience, because you're entering into a community that is sort of your immediate focus group. People are commenting online, and we have no point of reference. Amazon hasn't been doing this very long, so we don't know, well, is 1,000 a lot? Is 10,000 a lot? Is 16,000 a lot? You're looking at your grids and your graphs, and I mean, to Cary's point, it's like there's an immediacy in the world right now where everybody's remarking and commenting, and it took us, I think, some time to learn how to ingest that, how to appreciate that, and then ultimately, how to move on from that, because you still want to be true to your characters, true to your story. But it was, it was exciting to have that kind of feedback.